Hey there, and welcome to the Dynamics Hot Dish Podcast, serving up stories and knowledge on Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. This is what's hot in Dynamics. You're now joining your hosts, Ashley Steiner and Merlin Schweik. So the wave notes, the release wave 1 for 2023 just came out within the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've had a chance to look.
I haven't read anything really yet. I know I've seen lots of blogs about it, but have you had a chance to review?
Not really. Got a little bit of an overview from a teammate actually earlier today, which was
nice.
Handy. Learned about some of the new features. It seems like they're updating the email, like the way that you can build email templates now. And
in marketing,
and emails generally.
Or just
no, like
not in marketing. Sales.
Yeah, like the old school email templates. Like you can actually, apparently they're giving you like some more design options there for the first time in, I think.
Is it in the new UI or is it still in that old legacy 4.0 UI?
I assume it's in the new UI.
Nice. Okay. I'll have to check that out.
So, I don't know, that's a fun addition.
I was going to say, what was your favorite thing that you saw? So that was probably one of the things that stuck out the most to you from your demo this morning.
I would say that was probably the thing that stuck out the most to me because it's like, it's never changed. It's like never changed.
It's like, it's like security roles or like duplicate detection. Like it's just never had any sort of facelift.
No, like good enough.
I guess they changed the UI and I don't know if this is because obviously working with TechFluent, like we've actually just opted into everything, even though you're not supposed to do that for production. Yet we just did because we're so small. Yeah. It's like whatever. And when I say they changed the UI, I always laugh about this because like I just wish Microsoft would leave it alone. Like, hey, you know what? Like, even if you like put a little tiny box around something, like just I'd rather they spend their development time and resources like actually doing something super helpful for the functionality of the system. While UI is important, it's not enough to be like, oh my God, I'm going to buy this tool now. Like the command bar up at the top is in like its own little box. And like on the left-hand side, they got rid of like the circles on the last wave. So now they put boxes in and all the fields have boxes around them. So it looks like 2011 in my mind. Like they're going
That's weird.
Back, which is, it's supposed to, I guess, maybe, and the text fields are like gray. So like you can see where the text field box is. It has like, yeah, it's just, I think Microsoft is funny.
Yeah, well, it's the same as with fashion, what's old is new again, and you just sort of recycle and I don't know. Yeah, fine, cool. Yeah. I'm sure that there's too much white space. So they're like, well, we won't get rid of the space. We'll just make it not white.
Right. Like cool. We'll just put some gray here. Yeah, that's the only thing I've noticed, I should say, so far, or like read about is that, and they're changing like the business process flow from orange to blue. They're making no other updates, but they can claim that they're making business process flow enhancements because they're changing the color. I just think it's funny.
One other UI thing that I did see today was, I guess, the customer service workspace. They're like moving the session tabs from the left to the top.
Okay.
So
is that customizable? Like, because like in your browser, you can move tabs. Okay. I wonder.
I don't know.
And that was something we just recently talked about was the customer service workspace, right?
So, nice. Just, again, tinkering with the UI. Presumably, it's in the name of user adoption and better user experience.
Make it look more like Salesforce.
Oh, don't say that.
I have no idea what Salesforce looks like. I was like, I have no idea what Salesforce looks like these days. I think it's been 3 years since I've gotten a demo of it. So,
it's boring.
Not the one to speak to it. Yeah, so would love to hear like people comment or share like what you're excited about that's coming in wave 1. I definitely need to start diving into at least like understanding the big things that are changing.
And don't forget to, I know we've talked about this before, use that roadmap site to like build your own plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just add to my roadmap the features that you actually care about. and then you can just keep tabs on those things, and then they're easy to find. And
Well, I think that's a good point as well, is that they redid the release plans this year.
oh yeah,
So they don't, you don't have to use just like what's on Learn Docs for the release plans. Like they actually created like a new website this year. So we'll put a link to that. I forget what it's called, but they actually released a new way to tell you about the waves, which is kind of cool. It's actually a lot more user friendly.
Yeah, there's like a little like plus my plan button on individual features, and then it shows new if there's been a change to it in the last 30 days. So like,
oh, that's cool.
You keep going back to it and be like, oh, this is old and it hasn't changed since the last time I read it. This one says new. What's different about it since the last time I read it?
Yeah, nice. I did see that they did a big upgrade to marketing this week, which I guess when we post this, it'll be last week. But recently, they sent out, I got a ton of emails saying, hey, marketing's getting a service update. And like it was down for a little bit and stuff, like overnight in North America. I don't know what came with that, but I hadn't seen one of those emails since like 2016, because now it just happens, right? Like you just go in the next day and you're like, oh, there's new stuff here, like all this stuff that I had like you said, like added to my plan and whatever. And like I actually got like a service update email, and I was like, did I time travel? Like, what is this? Because I remember I used to have to go to like our change management board, CAB, we called them, change advisement board or whatever, and like get approval for those like like things that you can't opt out of from marketing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like super old. Like now they just do it and don't tell you.
I wonder what they had to change. They had to take the whole thing down, but
well, they said like you shouldn't experience anything, but they said you could, depending on what they were doing. And did you see the Maker Portal got an upgrade?
Did I see that the Maker Portal got an upgrade?
Yeah, so I stepped away from my computer. It was it happened to me this week. I guess I don't know if it just appears for everybody at the same time, but I like left my computer. It was actually Monday. I remember this because I left my computer, went and coached my nephew's baseball practice, coaching 5-year-old T-ball, story in and of itself. And I came back to like do work, like in that 4 hours that I was away from my computer, like it had just refreshed on its own and it was like a completely different page. And I was like, well, that's fun when you like step away for a couple hours and like you get a new Maker Portal. I mean, when I say new,
sounds
like
fun.
The navigation changed and like some things just moved, it's not like it's different, but like just the navigation and stuff has changed. So
I just realized why I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't been in there since Monday?
No, the project that I'm actively like in the Maker Portal on is in GCC High.
I don't know what that is.
The government cloud.
Oh,
and like the High government cloud. So like I'm not going to see that update for a while yet.
No problem.
In that environment. But probably if I went to the other project and looked in the commercial cloud, I would probably see the change. So I guess I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean it's not drastic, right? And like I don't know if anyone would like notice if they're not in it every day, but I mean you probably would. I mean the navigation's just different. Like things are actually, in my opinion, they're sorted in a logical fashion, which is hard for Microsoft to do, to like put things in a logical fashion. Like I remember when they used to like list all of the things in the Maker Portal, like, okay, do you want to add a table, a web resource, a app, all this stuff? And it like wasn't in alphabetical order. So you had to like scroll forever. Now it's in alphabetical order, but like Microsoft doesn't always just do things. Well, clearly. That really got you. That really got you.
Well, because not only was it not in alphabetical order, but it wasn't even in like
a logical
news order. It was like the thing that I want to find, like I'm looking for the web resource. I'm going to use that more than whatever the 15 other things were that were on the first
API connections.
Right, but then I have to click more to go find the thing that I actually want to use. I'm like,
and like
who
choices,
ordered these?
I remember choices was in the more too. Yes. And I'm like, like I know people who create choices like every week because like, anyways, I just, or edit choices or whatever. Now at least they changed that. So it feels like they're, they release it, get all the feedback of how terrible it is and then change it.
And then fix it. Yeah.
And then fix it. Yeah. I love all these little iterations that we get with like Microsoft.
It is fun. It is fun. there's some events coming this year. I mean,
Yeah.
it's early in the
You
year, so
planning on going to
there are
any?
lots of events. I'm planning to attend Dynamics Con, the virtual one, which is in March, I believe. Yes, March.
I'm speaking.
But
if you want to come to my session.
Sessions. I'll think about it. Maybe.
It's the toolbox.
Is it going to
might
be
help
interesting?
Yeah, it's toolbox. It'll help you prep for your session at live. If I can't
That's
convince
true.
you to switch with me, I'm still going to try to convince you to switch sessions for live.
I mean, it might make a little bit more sense if we just switch sessions. But yes, then I'm also looking forward to
Or we
Dynamics
should
Con
just
Live.
do them together. Maybe we take this offline. I'm going to bribe you however I can to get you to do the customer service one.
Yes. Either way, we'll be at Dynamics Con Live. That one's in late May.
In Scottsdale, which is a new place for events. I've never been to a conference in I mean, we went to Phoenix for Summit a few years ago, but...
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't either. So it looks like a lovely place.
It'll be hot.
Those
shorts.
Doug folks, they always pick very nice hotels to have their conferences at. I'll give them that.
They do. I didn't go to the one in San Antonio last year. You said you liked the
it was
resort.
nice. It was a cool place. Mm-hmm.
Bring your shorts. It's going to be really hot in Arizona in May.
Okay. Noted. What else?
Anything
Our
this
platform
summer?
Conference.
I know that's in October. Anything this summer? I know that so this is like completely out of our world, but there's Scottish Summit in June in Scotland for our international listeners. Is it I thought it was in June, right?
Are they doing it again?
Are they not? Why wouldn't they?
I thought that they said the last one was the last one, unless this one's the last one. I thought that they weren't doing it anymore. So we might have to double check that.
Yeah, we'll let you know. I'll put a little note in here like, oh, it is, or if somebody on the, who used to run Scottish Summit want to let us know. I guess I saw something. I thought they were doing it in June. So I guess maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I feel like summer is not a time when people do conferences.
Because they're on vacation with their families usually.
They're on vacation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go to a conference when the choice is that or, a week at the lake.
Depending on who you're going to I guess I shouldn't say this. My family listens to the podcast. I was going to say, well, if it was my family, I'd choose the conference. Sorry, Mom.
Yes, so then we get into fall.
Which is busy.
Which is always busy with conferences.
Which is why I was happy Dynamics Con moved to spring.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes it a little spring.
There is one other spring one I forgot. The Microsoft 365 conference is also in May. I think it's early May. And
it is. Yeah, last year it was in April. And I think they pushed it back a little bit this year. I'm not going this year, but I would definitely recommend that for people. They do have a small Power Platform track. I talked to Asif, who we've had on the podcast before, what they're planning to do with like Power Platform and Dynamics and stuff at the M365 conference. And he said that the same people who put together the M365 conference for Microsoft put together the Power Platform conference. So they're really trying to push Power Platform and Dynamics to the Power Platform conference, but they are having the tiny, small little track because there is some overlap with like Canvas apps and Power Apps and Power BI and things like that. But less focus on Dynamics for the M365 conference. So just for people to know like what conferences are going to be good and helpful for them, M365 is definitely like Office, SharePoint, a bunch of stuff I don't know anything about outside of that. I'm guessing Azure potentially. I'm guessing that has to be in there somewhere, right? Like databases.
Probably.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's a great conference. Like, I don't want to say like, don't go to M365, but just know like what kind of content do you want to get? Make sure you keep that in mind because it is a great conference. Just make sure that you're going to get the content that you need.
Makes sense. Yep. Yeah. And then Power Platform conferences in the fall.
First week of October.
Fall.
Third week of October.
Is there anybody else having a conference in the fall?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm not sure.
Well, there's always the developer one that's Microsoft puts together. Insight? Am I getting this wrong?
Yeah, Microsoft has like their 3 of them that they all like usually cram into the fall. It's like Inspire and Engage and
yeah. So
I can't remember. They just like pick action verbs. That's the name of our conference.
Hey, it gets you like inspired and engaged to go, right?
Yeah, but I can't remember which one's which because the name doesn't tell me anything about the conference. I
miss the Convergence days. Speaking of Microsoft conferences, like
I know
concerts and bands and just I miss those. I was also a customer back then, so they treated you really well if you were like a certain level of customer, which we were a big sale they were trying to sell to us. Yeah, that last Convergence we got treated really well.
That's always nice.
Isn't it? Yeah, I still have like gifts. Like they gave me a tablet. Oh. I know.
Jeez.
I know. I'm telling you guys, like seriously, like
I've never been a customer like that, so I have no idea.
I got a Tiffany's crystal bowl.
Okay.
Like Microsoft treats their customers. Well, it is. I think that was a Christmas gift or something. Like Microsoft would just randomly send us gifts because we were a potential very big sale for them, and we were in their backyard because we were in Tacoma, so just outside of Seattle. This is a really like so off track, and like I don't know if Microsoft. I guess they can't care if people tell, right? But yeah, so I got a tablet that one year, but it was one of those like really mini Windows, like when they were really trying to like go against the iPad and things like that. So it was one of those really small. I think I ended up like giving it away to somebody because like I just didn't have a need. I actually had a Surface, so like I was like, what am I going to do with this that I can't do with a Surface? And yeah, no, and they put me up like in a suite that year and had like gift basket. Yeah, it was. I'm just telling you, if you can do it, be a big sale for Microsoft. They treat you real well.
It's all part of a calculated sales strategy. If they give you $100 gift,
I got to go to
$100. They're expected to get thousands back. So
yeah, I sat in the Microsoft suite for Mariners games, a couple of Seahawks games. Yeah, I'm telling you, I would go back to that life if I didn't have to deal with the stress of the job.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. Or live in Tacoma, Washington. That was also terrible.
Guess I wouldn't know. I've never lived there.
Yeah. Sorry to anyone who lives in Tacoma that is listening. We got really off track. We were talking about conferences.
Yes, we were talking about conferences. If you could only pick 2 conferences to go to, which 2 would you go to?
Well, that's not fair because I'm going to 3. So that's really not fair of a question. So I'm going to DynamicsCon Live. I'm speaking, but I also really appreciate the smallness. I think we've talked about this before about like the, which they're going to grow, but I think that they're really committed to keeping the community. So I think that it depends on what you're looking for. If I had, that's a terrible question, Merlin. I hate you for asking because you know I'm going to all 3. So, okay, I'll answer. If I personally could only go to 2, I'm going to piss off some people. Why are you doing this? This is like asking like somebody with a sponsorship or like, you know, like a sponsorship, like who are you going to, cause like both, all these people, like I get to speak for them. What if they like don't pick me now because I'm like, oh, I wouldn't go to their conference.
I mean, obviously you would go to their, if you have the ability, like what I'm trying to get at, Ashley, is let's imagine that you, instead of working for yourself as a free and independent person, you had a draconian employer who said, you can only go to 2 events a year. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to make decisions about which events you go to. And so I'm curious.
So I would
go to.
I would always go to Power Platform Conference for a couple of reasons. One, because it's run by Microsoft. It's led by Microsoft. You do get Microsoft people at both DynamicsCon Live and at Summit. So I'm not saying, but like it is run by Microsoft and the product team. Like they're the ones supplying a lot of the content. Now, obviously you get content from people outside of Microsoft, like in the community, and a lot of MVPs, non-MVPs, you know, just people that really know their stuff. So because I am going to actually go to the Power Platform conference this year, whether or not I'm speaking. And then I would rotate every other year, Dynamics Con Live and Summit, because I feel like it's two different audiences. Where Doug is really community focused. Now they are product focused. They really want to provide good content, but it's also about building your like network and relationship, where I think Summit is going to find solutions because they have so many like partners, ISVs. So I think depending on what like my need was that year, like if I had like 4, because I remember when I was an admin, I used to go to Summit with a list and say, I cannot call this successful for me unless I talk to an ISV or partner that can help me fix these issues. And then I'd go back to the office and say, okay, like if we want to fix these issues, here's what people are telling me to do. So I think it kind of depends on, I know that's a terrible answer, it depends, but I would always, but because Power Platform Conference now, I mean, that's the new Convergence. So I would always go to that. It's better than Convergence though, I think content wise. And then would probably rotate the other two, not for lack of the fact that they're not good. I think they're great, just in different ways than PPC.
I think that's a perfectly legitimate answer, and I appreciate that you explained your rationale behind it, because then that would help somebody else who's never been to any of these conferences be like, well, which one would I choose and when? That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I think that what you're trying to get out of it really has a lot to do with what conference you choose, because they do have different purposes, right? They have different goals for the people that are attending. And intentionally, right? If every conference was the same, why would you have more than one? So yeah, if you ever like for the people listening, if you need help like deciding what's the right conference for you, I know Marilyn and I'm going to volunteer Marilyn for this, would love to help talk with you. I mean, neither of us have been to Power Platform Conference because this is only the second year, but I think we can speak a lot to the conferences that are put on by Microsoft themselves. And so we can help, answer questions or at least give input.
Of course.
But I've never been to a conference where I was like, I would never come here again, except for what Microsoft replaced Convergence with. Do you remember that? It was in New Orleans that one year. What was that called? They only did it once because it was so terrible.
Are you thinking of the launch event? No,
I'm not. So they got rid of Convergence, and then at like the last minute, they decided to put together a conference in New Orleans, in the spring. So after Mardi Gras, gross. I hated it. That conference was terrible. What was the name of it?
Are you sure that wasn't the Dynamics launch event?
I'm positive it wasn't a launch event. I'm positive.
Because I guess they did 2 of those. Then they scrapped that. I don't remember.
Yeah, so anyway, so that's the only one I would never go to again, but it doesn't exist anymore. So
problem solved.
That's the only event I've ever been to where I was like, I'm not doing this again next year. If it's around.
Yeah. No, it's true. Events are always good to go to. You come away with more than you thought that you were going to get when you went in.
I mean, even if you just make a network connection, because you never know how that network connection can help you or how you can help them down the road. It's not just about getting something out of a conference, it's also giving. Because that's what makes these possible.
Any other thoughts from you on, I don't know, new news? Least wave conferences?
I closed on a house today. Totally off topic.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's been a stressful few weeks, but we've got lots of change coming.
That'll happen. Yeah. So I guess speaking of change, that's my segue. It's my cue. So for the loyal listeners,
I tried to set it up. I was gonna say I tried to set it up pretty well. Yeah.
For the loyal listeners of the Hot Dish, I have unfortunately come to, at least in the short term, the end of my time with the Hot Dish. So for a variety of reasons that I will not detail, I'm going to take a step back from the Hot Dish, and Ashley is going to carry it forward and add, it sounds like, maybe an old face and potentially a new face. So I look forward then to listening to the content ongoing, and maybe I'll learn something. We'll see.
That's wow. Thanks, Merlin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have anything else to add. It's not like a good, you know what I mean? It's just people need breaks and need, different things at different times. And this is not the last time, at least what I can see right now, that we'll see of Merlin, right? A see of you. Like, I think you'll be back in some sort of capacity. But
so
I just
think who are rejoicing and thinking, thank God he's finally gone. Maybe not. Don't rejoice yet. Don't pop the bubbly quite yet.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have anything else to add, but I'll miss you on here.
Yeah. Well, I'll miss you too.
That sounded really sincere.
And I'll miss all of you listeners who are out there listening, even though I can't see you. I don't even know who half of you are. It's been fun.
But they're plentiful. We've really, I mean, Merlin, you've done a lot for this podcast, right? Like, you've helped grow it and build it and promote it. I actually talked to somebody just the other week who was like, oh, I've heard of your podcast because I was at DynamicsCon Live last year. And I was like, oh, I wonder who that would have been from. It was you, obviously. So it's just, I'm really appreciate everything you've done. I feel like we're saying like goodbye, like we're never going to talk to each other again. Merlin and I are friends. Like, for those of I think we make that pretty obvious that like we're actual friends outside of the podcast. We're real people. It's not just work and technology and Microsoft and stuff. Like, we're genuinely friends.
It's actually a job working for Salesforce, and then it's over.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I probably shouldn't make layoff jokes. Although I think I already did. So
You may have. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, we'll continue. I hope everyone sticks around. We're going to see a little bit of just a couple different faces, but same similar content, same idea. We're all here to talk about dynamics together. So
yeah. So don't unsubscribe yet, kids. Everything will be fine.
Still going on.
All right.
Was that sufficiently awkward?
That was sufficiently awkward, I think. On that note, goodbye, fellow listeners. See you out there. Thank you for listening to the Dynamics Hot Dish podcast. For additional content and previous episodes, check out our website at dynamicshotdish.com, follow us on Twitter at DynamicsHotDish, and subscribe to our podcast for notifications. Thanks. See you next time.